Hi-ho, everybody, and welcome back to D Plus Us Weekly, the show where we talk about shows episode by episode, week by week, for our enjoyment and yours. I think that's how the rigmarole goes, but I don't care, bitch. We have an insane few episodes to talk about today of Ironheart. Of course, folks, this is a full spoiler show, so we will be spoiling all of Ironheart, all of the MCU, just kind of in general, as we talk about theories of what could happen next, what's happened in the past. Oh my god, there's so much to talk about though this week. But it's not me alone. Mitch, how are you doing today?
I'm conflicted. And I think that's a good place to be in with this, because I do feel like there's enough that this show did to subvert my expectations that I was genuinely surprised by that finale episode. I think it's one of the better finales that we've gotten out of any of these MCU shows, just because it's not wrapped up in a bow and everything's great and the hero wins and walks away and no one leaves unscathed. There are consequences that are going to reverberate through the MCU from this, and I'm really excited to see where it goes.
Fucking cliffhanger in the best way. We're full spoilers, folks, so yeah, go watch the show before coming here if you do not want to be spoiled on anything. And honestly, highly recommend getting to this show before you get spoiled, because it is insane. In
the goddamn spoon, man. The goddamn spoon.
You know,
did you go back the way I did? Because I caught that. I'm like, wait a second, they're gonna see that again.
Okay, so we're on full spoilers, right, for this ending, right? And we are going to talk about all 3 episodes. We do this every single time we talk about anything.
Let's start at the. Let's not jump to the end then. Let's do it in order. Let's do it right.
No,
because we're immediately going to jump to theories and speculation like we always do. Let's not do that.
Theories and speculation, but I want to talk about how we watched the ending. Because I watched that ending, and the way it ends, right, with Riri seemingly taking the deal. I fully had to rewind and watch that entire scene again. I was
it's like, not seemingly. What? She took the deal.
I mean, yeah. Look, I'm only saying seemingly because we did not hear a definitive yes.
Dude, you see the darkness.
Like, yeah, we see fucking Natalie alive. Yeah.
Yeah, they took the best Spider-Man story, one of the best Spider-Man stories ever told in comics, and just said, hey, let's do it with a different character this time. That's exactly what they did.
I'm sorry, are you going to tell me that one of the worst Spider-Man stories is one of the best? You really think I'm going to let that off the hook?
One of the most controversial Spider-Man stories, let's say.
Okay, I'll take that.
They couldn't do it. They couldn't do it with Pete, although I do think.
Yeah, they could. Guess who's dead right now?
Well, I mean, yeah, they can, but I don't see them telling the same story again. Or maybe it is subverting the expectations and Riri shows up and gets involved in some way to dissuade Pete. But we'll get there when we get to speculations.
Yeah, I mean, but seriously, the reveal of Mephisto is insane to have finally happened after we have been, like, screaming our heads off about Mephisto since WandaVision back in 2020.
What's even better than that, if you go back to our last episode, I theorized, hey, what if it's actually Dormammu and they're trying to set up Strange 3? And then they start talking about Dormammu in episode 2, and I'm like, Griffin, I was right. The internet sucks.
I didn't believe
and that I was totally wrong.
I didn't believe it for a second.
I did. They got me. They fully got me, because I was like, I'm a genius. I called that way too early, and it's like, nah, you're wrong. You're wrong. It's fine.
Yeah, we got so many fantastic and crazy things happening in this. One of which being the introduction of Zelma into this, more magic stuff. I'm always happy to see more magic.
The goddamn shade thrown at Dormammu.
I mean, Dormammu is a cosmic fuckboy.
Yeah. But, oh my... Sacha Baron Cohen is just
I need to back it up. I think that's like one of the greatest sentences I have ever said. Dormammu is a cosmic fuckboy.
Clip it.
No, seriously, right? He is a Doctor Strange nemesis. And he's, like, admittedly, he is powerful within the context of the dark dimension. But he doesn't have this same kind of power. And, like, we have it right where Mephisto just laughs his ass off, saying Dormammu couldn't clean his ass. Like, so many great things. So let's take a step back, though, and bring ourselves into these actual 5 episodes. Or 3 episodes. We're talking today about episodes 4, 5, and 6. Episode 4, Bad Magic. Episode 5, Karma's a Glitch, and episode 6, The Past is the Past, all directed by Angela Barnes. I've run y'all through the cast last time around, but we do have our couple of new additions here that I want to shout out. First off, obviously, is Sacha Baron Cohen as Mephisto. A role that he has been heavily rumored for. I think you told me, Mitch, before we started, since
2022 was the first rumors of him popping up in this show specifically.
It was
and a potential Disney Plus special presentation.
It was something that honestly I had just totally missed. Either I missed it or I just wrote it off as speculation because I was just totally surprised when he popped up.
It's honestly perfect casting.
But also, as soon as you see him, you know. If you already know this,
yeah, as soon as he's there, it's okay. Yeah, Dormammu doesn't have a physical presence, so this is going a different direction, and I'm here for it.
We also have in this Paul Calderon as Arthur Robbins, which we'll get to that in a second, and then Reagan Aaliyah as Zelma Stanton. Yeah, holy shit, Zelma Stanton.
Also, just shout out to Cree Summer as Madeline.
Yes.
Cree Summer, if anyone else, Abbott Elementary fan, she's the librarian in that show, and she's fantastic there, and she's wonderful here.
Yeah, she's...
Definitely gave off Agatha all along vibes, and that's exactly what you're looking for.
And it's so funny to be right, we totally set this up in, the first episode, that she would come back around, and we just kind of... We're like, oh yeah, great, moving on. And then we get into episode 4, right? And we finally have this moment of, Riri has to, is this where Riri fights everybody out? Fights everyone?
Maybe.
I don't know. They all blend together, right? But, Riri finally goes to her mom for some iota of help.
Yeah. But, I mean, before we move on as well, Cree Summer is also a very well-established voice actor. If you weren't aware, she voiced Princess Kida in Atlantis: The Lost Empire.
Which we love around here.
And Penny in the 1983 Inspector Gadget animated show.
I actually just bought a Atlantis t-shirt.
Of course you did. But yeah, no, she's been all over the place through voice acting over the years, video games, television, web series. She's everywhere. She's a phenomenal voice actor, great character actor, and she's really good here.
All right, let's talk about episodes 4, 5, and 6 here. Starting Bad Magic. Yeah, this is us introducing a lot more magical rules into Ironheart here with Riri finally going to her mom about some stuff. Her mom just killing it in these 3 episodes, just in general. I'm like, oh my god, yes.
She was being a parent in the best way. And she has this one line, I don't remember if I think it's in this episode, because they do the whole thing with the bulletproof bubbles of my job is to protect you. It's not for you to protect me. My job is to make you feel safe, not the other way around. And as a new parent, I felt that really, really hard.
Yeah, I think it is either in this episode or halfway through next episode. I don't know. Like I say, these all kind of blend together when they're released together. But yeah, introducing the Stantons, this hilarious, candy/witch shop. And then Zelma has this extra interdimensional room that she's built with magic.
It's just oh yeah, we're witches, but we don't have a coven, so we're some sort of offshoot of sorcery because her mom was at Camartage when she was born, and then they left because a Camartage is no place for a child. And someone really should have told Strange that before he brought America Chavez into goddamn Camartage.
Admittedly, America, young, physically, but also matured, probably well past her actual age.
You're not wrong, but also, just justice for America. Chavez. Yeah. I gotta finish that sentence.
I mean, also.
Otherwise, I'm in a lot of trouble on the internet.
Yeah, I loved all of this, and seeing Zelma's magic kind of being a cross between some of the witchcraft we've seen and stuff like Multiverse of Madness and Agatha All Along and WandaVision, and the actual sorcery that we know from the Sorcerers of Camartage was really fun to see. And it's we're seeing stuff straight out of the first Doctor Strange movie when she's bits and pieces pulling magic as needed. I love it so much. I was so excited to see all this and see a character that I really love entering the MCU. I keep talking about how much I love Zelma Stanton. Zelma, for those who don't read comics, and I highly recommend reading these comic runs that she's in, started as a character in Doctor Strange um, back in 2015. Um, Basically, she comes to him because she's having this magical infestation in her head. And Doctor Strange helps her fix it, and then she becomes the librarian for him, and they end up getting on some adventures that eventually leads her into being incredibly sensitive to magic, which then eventually leads into Strange Academy, um, which is something I really hope we get. Um,
There are rumors that Disney's developing a Strange Academy um, product, whether that be for Disney Plus, it's a show, a special, or as a feature film. I do think that this character being introduced here and then pulling her into the larger cosmic shenanigans of Strange and Clea that we saw at the end of Multiverse of Madness makes a lot of sense and makes for a good stepping stone into something like Strange Academy. But I mean, we
my only
still
thing
are
with
talking about
Strange Academy,
this younger side of the MCU of like there is room here for Riri and sorry, what's the character's name again?
Zelma,
Zama, to act potentially as some sort of foil to this makeshift group that might come together. Because, yeah, like we said, by the end of this, Riri has entered a contract with Mephisto, and that is the repercussions of that could be felt across multiple properties over multiple years. And I do hope that we see something come out of this, either on the champion side, Strange Academy, whatever it might be.
I mean, Ironheart is like one of the token members of the Champions, so I would not be surprised to see a little something. Maybe not necessarily in Champions, but I would. I really hope this gets a season two. Strange Academy is one where it's like I would love to see it. I think it would be really nice to have a significantly better and less weighed down and more interesting, frankly, magical school program thing in pop culture. Um, but also, Strange Academy, one of the very big strengths of that is just the sheer amount of different sorcerers that were established in Marvel Comics. Looking at some of the lineup on Strange Academy, you've got obviously you have the Ancient One, you have Nico Minoru from the Runaways, you have Magic from the X Men, Scarlet Witch, Damon Hellstrom, Agatha Harkness, Brother Voodoo. A lot of these characters who have yet to be introduced in the MCU. Now, obviously, you could introduce them here, but then you also had bits where it was like, oh yeah, they had their guest instructor, Blade. Blade does go to show up and gives a guest lecture on defense against vampires. Um, and so, oh yeah, Man Thing is another instructor there. So it's like, I'd be interested to see how they change it. If it is, this is an initiative from Wong. If this is, maybe we can pull Man Thing back in here somehow. Like, there's a lot you can do. But it would just.
I
Be
mean, another
very
interesting thing that you could do because okay, we're deep cut here.
Talk about Strange
The
Academy.
well, no, I'm deeper cut in the MCU itself. If you go back to Doctor Strange, the sorcerer who was the caretaker of the New York Sanctum was Daniel Drum.
True, Brother.
So, also known as Brother Voodoo in the comics, is a villain, is then reformed. Maybe there's an interesting story to tell there of Jericho Drum, who succeeds him as Brother Voodoo, and comic spoilers, ends up becoming Sorcerer Supreme. Starts off as a villain and is trying to get revenge for the actions that weren't of Strange's doing, but Caecilius. But even still, you got freaking Caecilius mentioned in this show. That's kind of crazy.
I mean, honestly, if we do Strange Academy, I wouldn't be surprised if that's your avenue to bring back Baron Mordo.
Either Mordo or a way to introduce Doctor Voodoo, Brother Voodoo, whatever you want to call him.
I mean, you can do both. Like, yeah. I think you make because Baron Mordo is not dead anymore. We thought he might be because he was supposed to die in original cuts of Multiverse of Madness.
Remember, no more magic, even though that never happened. But again, that could be a good, foil to the idea of trying to start Strange Academy or build something up in that part of the MCU, or even as part of Strange 3. Like there's still that unresolved thread there, right?
Aside from theory and whatnot, and bringing it into this, I love Zelma's inclusion into this story. Because so often, right, we get the story of it's tech versus magic in Marvel. It's always the scientists versus the magicians. And very rarely is it them actually working together. And whenever they work together, cool shit happens.
Or awful shit because we're tapping into really dark magics and a bad thing does happen.
Yeah. The one I'm going to go to is Midnight Suns, the video game. Right? It's like we get the cool shit of the confluence point of technology and magic. And like we got it here. Cool thing, the whole suit building scene is really freaking cool. Has devastating consequences, but it's still really cool.
Cool suit. Very cool suit.
This is most of this. We get this scene between Riri and Ronnie in this after they leave the shop, which was heartbreaking. Ronnie just being like, "You're in some shit. Let me help you. I am your mother."
I mean, the other big thing that we get here is the reveal to Zay of Natalie.
Zay and Natalie.
Yeah, because, like that. And finally, someone in this world is like, "No, this is not right. You've done bad things here," and I cannot wait to see, like, understanding the scope of Mephisto's powers. I fully expect that no one will remember that Natalie died except Riri, and it's going to eat her up. And in reversing this, she's going to have to give up something even bigger to break the deal with Mephisto, whatever it might be. Again, we're retelling Brand New Day.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about this show is they are willing to leave things somewhat unsettled. For me, it's this and the ending with Ezekiel Stain, where it is, we're not done. We still need to have a conversation. But for now, I can accept where you're at this point because we have other things we have to do.
I mean, also the post-credit stinger on episode 6 of, okay, yeah, Parker's going to get into some shit.
Which is perfectly the hood. I called that shit a mile away.
I know you did.
But yeah, I really love this of like, yeah, Zay is like horrified by Natalie, the AI. And then when he comes back to helping around and like Riri and him do have this moment, nothing between them will be the same again. But they're still family. Like when it comes down to it, and they are still going to support each other and do their best to work things out and see whatever happens beyond. From this point, at the end of this episode, Natalie just takes off because she needs a minute, which is the worst timing because of the beginning of I think either the end of this episode or the beginning of the next one. Again, they blend. She immediately gets captured by a slug.
Yeah, beginning of the next one, she's captured by Slug, and then we get the White Castle fight scene, which was a ton of fun. Also, I had to look this up afterwards. I didn't realize that White Castle started using robotic line cooks.
See, that was like the entire reason why I assumed they were using it in the show, because I was like, that feels like a Riri thing.
I figured this can't be real, and then I went and Googled it, and no, they're legit just using robots in White Castles now.
Yeah. I think they're starting to try to do that.
The future is automation, and the future is bleak.
Mm-hmm. Can't even make money flipping a burger anymore.
We're like 3 innovations away from just living on a cruise ship in space, a la WALL-E.
Nah, we don't make enough money for that.
I mean, speak for yourself.
Anyways, we have fun here, folks. Yeah, this fight's dope. I love this.
I mean, I think what's really interesting here, I think it's towards the end of the 4th episode, is like, or we get this whole thread through the 4th episode of is Parker going to turn on Riri? And then the reveal that, oh, he's just going to break Zeke staying out of prison and we're going to get some crazy shit. And they went right into, oh yeah, Zeke's going full blown off the deep end. Slug's going to put a back door into his subsystems to just totally fuck his shit up.
Yeah, that
It's
like deleting the admin and making it Parker. It's like, oh
yeah,
god. It's I love it. This whole scene, this
it's
whole fight
cliche,
scene,
but it works within the context of this show.
it's cliche, but I'm almost happy it is because it's cliches are cliche for a reason. It's because
It's a trope that works. Yeah, for sure.
like this whole fight scene though, I love it. It's a classic of take the person out of the suit. They have to use their intelligence to fight, and like Ruby gets her ass kicked whenever she's trying to actually fight. Like I love that her fight when she's fighting the siblings is just like hit them with whatever she can find around the kitchen, and then trap them in a bubble. Because when she actually tries to punch them, it does jack shit.
I think that's what's most interesting about Riri to me as a character is that we don't get this I am Iron Man moment in this show. If she's just like she's still a kid, she's still going to make mistakes. She's not, you know, matured to the level of making the right choices. Or even in our discussion last week, we were talking about, man, I'm not a billionaire. I don't have the resources. I got to find shortcuts to make my way in the world. Um, are we just going to totally forget that Iron Man 3 exists and that Tony Stark took down a whole bunch of dudes with a bunch of stuff he built from a hardware store?
I mean, frankly, I think Iron Man 3 just more proves Riri's point. But
Well, I think it actually no, because he was able to just
he's just a tinkerer. If whenever he loses his money, he's just a tinkerer. Yeah, he can use it to make something that works. I'm not going to disagree with that. But I mean, one of the beautiful things about Riri is that Riri is significantly smarter than Tony.
She is, but I think she's smarter, but I think she lacks the experience needed to assume the mantle or to succeed the mantle of what was Iron Man. And it's interesting here of the whole no, she doesn't here. I think they're still setting her up to get there, and she's still a flawed character the way that Tony was flawed.
The way I'm saying this just because a lot of people online have used this as a way, used that kind of that specific argument of, oh, she's not Iron Man, to dismiss a lot of the show, which I think is very frankly bullshit.
Oh no, I'm not trying to dismiss her achievements here. It's more so just knowing that she is still a young character in the scope of the MCU. She's not ready to take that lead spot because she's still trying to figure out her way in this world. And I think that's part of the charm of the character.
Oh, absolutely.
And it does go to setting up a bunch of really bad shit in her future.
Yeah, I do think she's right though. Like Tony Stark would not be Tony Stark without the power, the money, and the influence that he had. Even within Iron Man 1. Like, he has that because of his influence. Even in the cave. Even in Iron Man 3, when he's putting his stuff together, it only takes him so far. It does not take him as far as he needs to complete everything. He still needs his suit.
No, but I juxtapose the bar scene and the hardware store stuff that he does in Iron Man 3 versus what Riri does here in the White Castle, where Tony is far more or maybe, there are a lot of parallels there in that fight scene of the way he uses like the broiler and stuff and the way that she uses like the CO canister and all of this stuff here. So yeah, I guess there's more similarities than differences when it comes to that. I think there's that, like, she's still trying to figure out the spontaneity, I guess, of how to like problem solve in real quick succession, because it does seem, I mean, it only takes a few days or whatever it might end up being to build her new suit, but it did take a village to an extent. And I mean, obviously, yeah, Tony has his whole network and all of his funds and everything he's built up over the years, but at the same time, it all originates with him, whereas I think that this is definitely more of a group exercise, and I think that's fine for Riri where she is now. I do see this being a character once she comes to terms with the decisions that she's made and the consequences that are inevitably going to follow, of getting to that place, getting to where Peter got at the end of Far From Home, getting to where Tony got at the end of Iron Man 3, where it's like, suit does not maketh man, man maketh suit, right?
So I think that's one of the interesting things for Riri, where it's like, first off, I don't think we're gonna get to the point where she takes up any sort of Iron Mantle.
No,
Um,
I didn't mean like
but I mean,
literally. I
this
meant
is
more so
being
like a figurative, like she's the genius suit person of the
See,
MCU
I
kind of
don't
deal.
think we get that. I think that she exists in her own bubble. I think that she's going to exist in her own bubble in that regard, in the same way she does within the larger Marvel Comics universe, where for the most part, Ironheart is interesting but not incredibly successful in comic books. I love her, and I love her runs for the stuff. I think Brian Michael Bendis did a really good job in writing some of her stuff, and not great in other regards of it. Um, Brian Michael Bendis, as much as I enjoy his writings, is not perfect. Um, but she kind of exists as the quote unquote Iron Man for the younger group if you look at her reductively. But no, she's very much her own. She does not have the same AI spits. She does not use her suit the same way. She uses her intelligence incredibly differently from Tony. And I think we are starting to see that with her in this one when it comes to proper design work. Like, yeah, I think it was the episode 5 with how Natalie breaks out of the magnet. And you can see some of the design work in there of like scrolling through the Rolodex of tools that are available in the suit because the suit was designed for first responders.
Yeah.
Or then you see it in the second suit of it's not a proper repulsor blast. It is this energy that courses through the entirety of the suit and then releases. Like, or the fact that her suit isn't arc reactor tech. It is built with
Solar.
Yeah,
Solar and wind, right?
Um, like
Should we just get to the end now?
I have one, well, I want to talk about one more thing before we get there because I want to talk
Okay.
about Zeke because that fight was
Yeah.
cool.
Man, I'm so happy like after Solo that it didn't like Alden Ehrenreich, Alden Ehrenreich, I think I said that right. Is just he's such a strong screen presence, and I loved him here. If you have not, highly recommend the film Cocaine Bear, which he plays a significant part in, and is hilarious. He's just a really good actor, and I want to see him in more things. And I'm glad we got him in the MCU. I'm worried we got him in this role in the MCU because I feel like this is just going to be Madison 2.0 of hey, Zeke Stain popped up in this thing, neat. And I want more of this character as soon as possible, please.
I don't know, I think this character has a little bit more substance.
Well, he does. That's the thing is I want to see it get leveraged to the greatest effect.
Yeah, I think we'll get more of him, especially with how like that ends with what we're talking about. But yeah, everything with his fights and whatnot was so great, so funny watching. Like, yeah, to reset you, I gotta knee you in the balls. And they have this moment of like he's
What?
still
It's like, yeah, it's the only place you wouldn't have put any. That I figured you didn't put any tech. It's like, well,
yeah.
I mean, if you think like an asshole, what asshole isn't going to put biotech there? But also, good point. Go for it.
Also, because he's absolutely not that kind of asshole.
No, but he could be. Most
I
would
love
be.
it. Oh, but one more thing I want to call out about the earlier fight scene is just the way that Riri destroys the truck with the suit coming down, awesome, and then just adding in the
That was
middle
so
finger.
cool. Followed by immediately
Perfect.
throwing up.
And then, yeah, the whole process of building this new suit was super cool. Something I've thrown out to you that I in our chat
Before we get to building the new suit, we got Barf.
we got
We got Barf Tech in Riri's suit, and it presents the most adorable memory of Riri and her stepdad, and it definitely welled some tears for me. It was really, really good.
It was so good. The hologram tech in general was used so well to just convey these amazing moments, and watching Riri and Ronnie watch the scene as well was so good. One little thing I noticed about the garage that was just adorable and awesome to me was that the G and A from Gary's garage are the parts that are flickering out, essentially making it Ree's garage.
Oh, something else we glossed over, but during the White Castle fight, when Riri falls on the White Castle sign, the only letters that are not left lit are "ouch."
Yeah, they do. They have a lot of fun with the actual like physical lettering in the space, and then obviously the Ironheart.
The title cards. The title cards were so good in every episode.
Yeah, I love the one that's just on the White Castle box. Bam Bam, they fight. Yeah, we get the reveal in episode 5 of everything with Parker's dad, and we learn that that's been the goal this entire time, is just to steal a bunch of money from his dad. Which was interesting, but also kind of very much a moment of, I can take it or leave it. I don't. There's so much happening at this point that I'm just like, it's interesting, but not nearly as interesting as these 10 other things that are happening.
Yeah. No. I totally aligned with you on that.
And then, yeah, they build the new suit, put a bunch of magic in it, and then delete Natalie.
Magic comes with a price.
Magic always comes with a cost. We had an entire series or season of television that taught us this. I just saw the series on my phone. I'm sorry to anyone else as I set off. Yeah, what a wild twist here. I did not see that one coming.
I didn't, but at the same time, like I said, we're gonna get into this. The finale did not go as I expected it to, and I think part of it is the trauma here, paired with Riri's PTSD, just gives her very little choice and hasn't gotten to the point where she can overcome that yet. I'm disappointed we didn't get there in this show, but also it adds room for character growth down the line. But
I think
it kind of makes it feel like the 6 episodes didn't really mean a heck of a lot, other than setting up future stuff.
See, I agree and disagree. I think these 6 episodes mean a ton to Riri into her story. Just because it doesn't end doesn't mean that it doesn't mean anything.
No, that's totally fair. I think it is the, I've made this joke more than once that Kevin Feige made us wait 3 movies for the Uncle Ben moment for Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and I do think they're taking a similar approach to Riri in the MCU, which I like it. And this is one of those things of I'm not like. I messaged you after this ended. I'm like, this is probably top 3 MCU Disney Plus properties for me. And realistically, it's because it doesn't have a definitive end to it, and there's a lot that's left for future interpretation. And it's one of those things of like, we've seen how future properties can improve past properties.
So when you already have a good property to go back to, what can you do next?
Exactly.
I like it ending this way. I'm kind of torn on it after I sat down, but I think it also really greatly lends itself to the power of Mephisto and setting up the power that this dude has. Especially with that, but also just the way that this episode starts, right? With us finally learning how Parker gets the hood. And seeing him, and it being heavily implied throughout the entire episode. This episode is about Mephisto.
See, I feel like it's more about Parker. But I guess they're really tightly coupled by this point in the series.
Fair. But watching him give the power to Parker and then going through with that, and then we get this fight that was the most stressed I've been in this entire show.
It was stressful, but also kind of weird. We didn't need the CG gargoyle hood thing.
I was so stoked for that. One of my favorite things with Hood is essentially there is a version of the Hood that just gets, whenever he gets ridiculously angry, he demons out.
I didn't know that.
That is a genuine power of the Hood. And it was so cool to actually see it and see the power of him watching just rip into Riri, only to learn, we're playing off of what Mephisto also played off of Robin's is so desperate for power and for money that he is easy to manipulate. And that is how you beat him. I loved that we got that.
Yeah.
I think this was the best fight scene in the entire show. I think the
Yeah.
fight scenes in the first few episodes I thought were kind of slow. I think the episodes, the fight scenes in this one's, and especially this one, picked that speed up to 11 and killed it. And yeah, because we get that Riri fight with Zeke down below, and then immediately into the Parker fight above. Cinema, perfect, no notes. And then yeah, this ending. God damn. Who else
Didn't
is
expect
going
that.
to be making deals with?
I mean, this opens the door to a Ghost Rider. This opens the door to a deal, you know, with Wiccan potentially. Either bring back Agatha, find his brother, something to that effect.
How we bring back Scarlet
Man, I'm
Witch.
trying to
Like, I do think we get a Ghost Rider thing at some point.
yeah.
I can also very much see them holding Mephisto a bit. Like, you kind of look at what's coming in the future, right? And Mephisto doesn't really necessarily fit in like a perfect puzzle piece until after Secret Wars. And it makes me wonder if they've waited to set up Mephisto for this long because they have bigger plans for Mephisto.
Well, that's what I'm thinking of. Like you drop the breadcrumbs of Mephisto as a player in the universe here, but you know you're setting up Doom for the next major event in the MCU with Doomsday and Secret Wars.
So
Maybe it is one of those things if he's just quietly working in the shadows and becomes a major player in like a Phoenix storyline with the X-Men or
So we've got this great book right now. Well, because like we've heard of like a few of the key tenets for like the next phase of the MCU after Secret Wars. One of them is going to be magic. So I would not be surprised. But we've got this, and literally it's just because my my TBR comic stack is sitting next to my desk. But we've got this great story right now for One World Under Doom.
Well, I mean that's where I was going to get to as well, right? With the way that Doom sets up in the comics right now, and he is, for all intents and purposes, is the Sorcerer Supreme, the head of
All
Strange
intents and
Academy.
purposes,
Like
he
there's,
is. But one of the things
well,
that's
yeah,
interesting about it is that because of how he's doing things, he leaves the door wide open for Dormammu to come in and wipe. And it could be very interesting if we go through Secret Wars, and because of his plans here, it leaves the perfect hole for Mephisto to squeeze through and do whatever he needs to do. Mephisto is an Avengers level threat.
oh for
I
sure.
can see that. And there's a great Avengers storyline where it's essentially Mephisto's deals throughout the years are all coming to bear against the Avengers. And I could totally see them doing something like that.
I'm just trying to think who else would succumb. I mean, maybe not the Avengers, but the new Avengers
The new Avengers, for
potentially, right?
sure.
There's a lot of flaws there. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
But
maybe
I
if
mean,
they
you
can
could
figure out
even
a
go
contract
back, like,
situation with ScarJo, you know, Widow gets her sister back, Guardian
the
gets
so
respect.
the Mephisto storyline that I'm referencing has a lot of issues. And it's not the best
Yeah.
story, but because it's basically like, oh, the Avengers have to go through history to finish off some of these deals, and I don't want to see them do the time travel thing again. I think we're past that.
I mean, I wonder if Mephisto is part of the way we get to Secret Wars. You know what I mean? Like maybe it is some pact between Doom and Mephisto that creates this, like the war world situation of one world under Doom. That could be an interesting way to go with it. I mean, it's a very easy MacGuffin of just, yeah, you know, demon, God, snap fingers, everything goes to shit. Like, it doesn't take much, right?
I mean, I kind of assumed
Especially
that.
with you now introducing Galactus in what is presumably another universe, but there's going to be a Galactus in the 616 as well, right? Like,
See, I
it's,
kind of assumed that the way we were going from Doomsday into Secret Wars is that it was going to be the incursion between the Fantastic,
yeah.
no, sorry, not the Fantastic Four, the Earth that
The
that
multiversal incursions are going to lead to exactly what leads to Secret Wars 2 in the
but it was
comics.
specifically the MCU's not 616. They're calling 616. And
199999.
and the world that Maria Rambeau is currently stuck on.
Yeah, the
That
X-Men
we are
world.
just kind of assuming is the X-Men, but we don't actually know.
I mean, if it's not, it's very, very close to that.
Yeah. So like I don't really see Mephisto sneaking in on any of this. Maybe he affects a thing here or there, but no, I think he's still going to bide his time, and we're not really going to see the extent of his powers until afterwards. The last thing I want to bring up here before we wrap things up on this fantastic and awesome show, we've been talking for a while, is the future of Marvel television. Marvel has absolutely talked about how they're changing, how they're doing shows, and that Ironheart has been a test case for them.
Long in gestation.
Yeah, but basically doing a shorter series and seeing how things work, taking a wait and see approach. I hope that they're seeing good things from this because I really love how this series turned out. And if they're willing, they're giving us. I think they found a good rhythm here with the 6-episode storyline. Of you, don't do too much with it. Do just the right amount with what you have. You don't need to throw 3 other storylines in there. You can just do the one.
I mean, all we really know at this point of what's coming that I would say is directly going to impact the MCU, because a lot of the Marvel animation stuff kind of exists off on its own. Anything that's Marvel Spotlight is kind of meant to, or Marvel Spatial Presentation, I think they're one and the same now after the rebranding that Marvel Studios did on the Disney Plus side. Those are meant to be smaller, more contained stories, not really impacting the larger MCU as a whole, which is where I see like the Frank Castle Punisher special dropping in eventually, even though that's not yet. It's all but confirmed. We've got Wonder Man later this year, Daredevil season 2 next year, Vision Quest next year, and really that's it.
Mm-hmm. We
So
have a
they're
couple
definitely
rumors of
taking
other projects. We do have current rumors of Agatha All Along season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also rumors at the moment of a Champions series. So like I don't think they're done with TV.
Yeah, there was also the never confirmed, probably shelved Nova series.
Nova was canceled.
Uh, I don't think it was full out canceled. I thought they said they were just pausing development for a while they sort out the whole MCU Disney Plus
I think it was
release cadence thing.
I said canceled. I think it was a delayed indefinitely. Was their wording? But as far as I'm concerned,
They said they were reprioritizing. So Nova, I think it was Nova, Terror Inc., and Strange Academy were the 3 that they said were in various stages of development, but they were pausing to figure out the development of other projects.
I would not be surprised if this gets enough love that we put Strange Academy back on the docket and we put Ironheart season 2 on the docket.
I hope so. And it seems like that the end of this show is setting up some version of Strange Academy.
Yeah. Strange Academy or a second season.
But you could also wrap the Strange Academy, let's just call it like a backdoor pilot, into as a subplot in the next Strange film itself,
can you
right?
do that with just a 6-episode season? Like, I don't think we're going to get more than 6 episodes.
No, I mean, if you use the next Doctor Strange film to set up a Strange Academy show with either Wong or Strange mentoring a group led by Zelma, something like that.
Here's another one to throw out. I wonder if it's Clea.
Could be, if they have that, Charlize Theron money to bring her to Disney, to streaming.
You never know.
You never know. That's what's fun about this. We don't know, and we'll know soon enough.
Yeah, of course, it's all future stuff to talk about, folks. And that's where we're going to wrap this episode. I don't know what the next show we're going to talk about is. I don't think there's anything on the immediate horizon.
Eyes of Wakanda will just be one episode.
Yeah,
that's
Eyes of
next
Wakanda is
month.
going to be a normal episode. But we'll figure out whatever the next episode series we'll talk about is. And we'll talk about it here. Because that's what we do on this series.
Yeah.
Of course,
Or we'll just pick something old and go back to it, like Bluey.
Or maybe we'll finally do Win or Lose.
Please. I don't even want to, like, we can do it as a regular episode. I just want to talk about that show. It's so good.
Yeah, I will finally sit down and watch it. Anyways, folks, that is going to wrap up this episode. Thank you very much for listening. It has been quite the pleasure to talk about this show. We will talk about other stuff in the future, but go check out our other things. Check out our regular show where I tortured Mitch by making him watch the most recent Snow White movie. Go check out our short series, either on YouTube or TikTok, where you can check out my adventures in the parks. But until then, thank you very much for listening, and be good to each other, and have a magical day.
Excelsior! I still can't believe you made me watch the Snow White movie.